to my live stream. I'm actually in my command center and I'm reaching out to you in your social media handles all across the world. And today I have a very interesting subject related to the space travel, and that is about the supplies. When the humans wants to travel to space, there are various things that we need. I think we know that we require protection from radiation. We need air to breathe, oxygen predominantly. We also need water and food. So oxygen, water has been figured out because I think we have been using that technology in our submarines, and also we have got enough experience to fill our spaceship with the recyclable oxygen and also recyclable water. So water has been figured out, so oxygen has been figured out too. And the chronic point is food. How do we have food, endless supply of food, while we are actually embarking on long journey? And that is one of the space mission which is going to address that issue, and they are going to conduct experiments in space about growing our food for the very first time. So let's understand this and discuss more in detail. Well, it's about growing plants in space, and this is actually the initiative of a joint venture. It's a private joint venture right now, and as per this joint venture, there is a startup in Australia, and the space agency is the Israeli Space Agency. They will partner with other space launch vehicles and want to basically conduct experiment long term. It's basically not like growing one plant and stuff like that. Basically growing plants for long-term space exploration, because anywhere you go except moon, which is just 3 days away using the current technology, even Mars is a 6 to 7 months journey, the shortest possible time that the mankind would take to reach Mars is 6 to 7 months. These are so many days, and if there are at least 10 people flying to Mars, then we would need food for 10 people for at least 1 year to be loaded on their spacecraft, because 6 to 7 months is your travel time to Mars. But then once you reach there, you still need food because you have no food on Mars. So growing food is the answer, and this company is trying to find the solution for growing food while you are actually traveling. Otherwise, carrying all the rations in the spaceship will make the spaceship very heavy and totally impractical. So what is that they are going to do? So SpaceIL is coming out with special purpose spacecraft, and they want to basically test this theory on the moon. So they don't want to basically grow plant in the open space. They want to basically land on a planet and then try and growing plants there. And moon is very close by, so moon is actually a 3 days trip. So they are developing these pods, and these pods are special purpose because they will basically keep the plants safe and sound during the launch, during the journey to the moon, and then landing procedure on the moon. After they land, these kind of spaceship, which is a proposed design, and they will actually start dropping the pods, which will basically another pod, small pod, which will have the plant in it. And then this is going to be an experiment. So this is not going to basically suffice the need of any space traveler or any space faring person. This is going to be the first attempt of any human to grow or sort of cultivate plants, so for our consumption. And whether they can do it, whether it is possible, not possible, all that will come out after this experiment. So this is very interesting, and that's why I'm talking in my live stream. So if you have any suggestions, questions, you can shoot it live and it will be displayed on the screen straight away. So this is going to be very interesting to see what comes out from this experiment. By the way, they are scheduled to launch in 2025. So they're basically right now doing a lot of experiment, ground-based experiment, preparing, working on their designs, and then basically preparing for this particular mission. And they have also chosen the plant which is called Triojon loliformis. This is the scientific name of this plant. They have chosen this plant simply because this has a huge survivability, because this plant has the capability to become dormant in case it does not find water, and once it finds water it again germinates. So based on these qualities, they have chosen this particular plant for this experiment. The plant will be sent without water, of course, to the space, and then once it reaches its testing ground, the water will be supplied, and then they will see that how the plant is behaving. So the idea is that if this plant grows, then they can probably do genetic engineering on these plants and come up with something which is more edible. And the plan was basically to use another startup which is actually doing research only in this area specifically, which is in the area of space horticulture. And they are actually working on these enclosed containers which will protect the plant to a certain extent from radiation and from the cold weather, etc., etc. So they are working on this pods which will be put inside the lunar module, the Israeli lunar module, and then will be dropped. And then after that, the study will be done. So as you can see, this is not a very simple exploration. It's not going to be a simple mission. There are several parties doing several stuff, several separate stuff, and all of this has to come together like a project jigsaw puzzle for to demonstrate whether the plants can be grown in other planets, in outer space, etc., and what kind of plants that can be grown for our consumption. This startup company from Australia is known as ELF, which stands for Australian Lunar Experiment Promoting Horticulture. And this is a type of what you see, this is a type of pots they are working on, and they will probably finish all their R&D in their own centers by 2024, by end of 2024, and they plan to launch with SpaceIL in 2025. Now comes the most crucial part about launching. So they are actually talking to SpaceX. No surprises there, because SpaceX is more than capable of carrying different kinds of payload. SpaceX is also working on their spaceship called Starship, which is so far the biggest space rocket that has been planned so far. So probably when spaceship flies in 2025, it will have many such satellites and such missions, not only one. And SpaceIL mission in partnership with ELF could be one of them. And this is dedicated for basically monitoring whether humans can grow or cultivate plants on the surface of moon. Now, after these pods will be dropped on the surface of the moon, there will be close monitoring done about the conditions of the plants, and they will be monitored for 3 days. So if in 3 days they flourish and they are able to come back to life, that means that will be the success of the first mission, and then subsequent mission based on the success of this mission will be planned in future. So I think this is very, very interesting subject, friends, and I thought I will talk about it because food is the limiting factor. I mean, if you look at the submarines also today, they are powered by nuclear reactors. Some are bigger submarines which will have 2 nuclear reactors to power themselves. So literally they have sorted out the power problem, because once the nuclear submarine is powered up, it can last for 20-30 years. But their missions are essentially limited by the amount of food they can carry at any point in time. So roughly the large submarine can have a mission of about 40 to 45 days. Similarly, a spacecraft cannot have, and this is an earthbound ship, but if you're going in space, weight is a major consideration. Increasing the weight of the aircraft is not going to be good. So you need to ensure that you have adequate design and therefore carrying a lot of stuff from Earth is not a practical solution. So growing during your journey is the practical solution. I think this is one interesting mission we must watch out for. Let's wait for 2025, and I will talk about it more as and when I hear about this particular mission. Nevertheless, if you have any questions, feel free to write back, and I will meet you tomorrow again with something more intriguing. Until then, please take care, and bye bye for today.